Okay, well, thank you so much, Brian, for joining us today. For those who don't know, Brian's a rock star lender with guaranteed rates. We crush business together, and a lot of it's for veterans and active duty, which is great for our military. We do briefings on base together, super fun guy, and I love working together. And we've been doing some nifty stuff with loans lately. And so one of those is doing the seller buy down. And so Brian, you can just kind of tell us what that is, and then maybe some stories of like how that's played out recently.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be great. Go for it.
Yeah, well, hey everybody, Brian Hirano, VP of Mortgage Lending at Guaranteed Rate. I'm on Instagram at mortgage millennial _ 2 L's, 2 N's, and an underscore at the very end of mortgage millennial. You can come follow me. And, I love working with Marina. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. She's so smart, she's knowledgeable, and she's willing to hustle and get out there to win the deal and the best deal for her clients. So always love working with her, and just super blessed to share this time. So let me just preface a couple things before I go into kind of the nitty gritty stuff and some stories of what we've been doing lately. It's obvious to everybody that rates are higher than where it was last year or even 6 months ago, significantly, maybe even double, right? And so another factor that we're also encountering is that housing prices have remained elevated since the pandemic. It's still at record highs. Even though we're seeing price reductions here and there, it's still kind of a inflated price that's just kind of normalizing now. One of my mentors and coworkers, he mentioned it's like 2020, 21. It was like we were going down the highway at 75 miles an hour. Now we're going at 35. Are we still going fast? Yes, we are still moving forward, but just not at the speed that we were at. And maybe we're pushing the brakes a little bit to come down to 35, which is normal, or 55, which is normal. So everything's normalizing. So there's those two factors. So interest rates being elevated, and then also housing prices being elevated. When those two components and factors or phenomenon meet, what happens is that the buyer, from the buyer's perspective, they lose affordability, right? Monthly payments go higher. For an example, a rise in 1% in interest rate could, bring up your monthly payment $400 or $500. And as a lender, yes, we look at all the different factors, but the main thing that we really look at is your monthly payment compared to your income. And that's called debt to income ratio, DTI. And when that gets boosted $500 on your debt side, then that's going to really change that percentage and possibly bump you out of qualification altogether. And so what we're seeing is that, a lot of people who were pre-qualified or pre-approved, let's say in February, March, or even April, now they're falling out of qualification, and they're getting discouraged, and they have to sit on the sidelines, and they're waiting for the housing market bubble to burst, which it's not for those of you out there. And they're just kind of discouraged. And so, that's where we as professionals, me as a lender, Marina as a real estate agent, we have to get creative and think outside of the box. And we can't do the same things that we were doing in 2020, 2021. So one of the strategies that I've been a huge proponent and a messenger of is something called the seller buy down strategy. And I'm going to just explain it. It's much more easier to see it visually, but just because of the format that we have going on here, initially it was supposed to be an Instagram live. So, but if you want more information, more visual presentations and stuff, please DM either Marina or myself, and I can get you a link that you can kind of see different examples, different visual examples. So please make sure you DM us. But the basic concept of it is that whether it's list price that you're offering or whether it's above list price, you are asking for a seller concession back, and we're going to accomplish mainly two things. Number one is, and that's the biggest point, is to have the seller concession buy down the buyer's interest rate. The second thing that is optional or is beneficial is to pay off their closing costs. Now, sometimes, you may not be able to get that enough credit, or the seller's not able to provide enough credit to do that. But at least if we're buying down the rate, then we can offset that DTI. Now,
Yep.
the basic concept before I go into to examples is that it's the mechanics of it is that it's far cheaper to finance $25,000, and it's far more beneficial, and every dollar goes a lot further if you can take that 25,000 up front to buy down the interest rate. Mm-hmm. Okay, so always drop rate rather than drop price.
Yeah.
The price is always going to be a little bit relative because it's the price will convert into monthly payment depending on different factors. It's going to change. So totally. Yeah, we want to get to that bottom line monthly payment, what's comfortable in their budget, what works in DTI. Okay. Yep. Caveats, because I always like to share the pros and the cons.
Yep.
You have to do it right. And what I mean by right is that on the contract side, on the real estate agent side, they need to understand the concept fully, and they also need to be able to construct the offer correctly. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's going to get kicked back from the lending side. The seller's listing agent, the seller side, they need to be on the same page, because at the end of the day, they need to know what their client is. The seller is going to net.
Yeah.
Okay. The second caveat is that from the lending perspective, if there's any lenders out there that's listening to this and you've maybe heard of seller buy down, you don't know how to quite implement it, here's the secret sauce. Talk with your operations team, let them, figure it out, because if everything is not aligned on the lending side internally at the bank or the lenders operations, then it's going to trigger high cost lending laws and also predatory lending laws. Okay, so it's not going to work if that happens. So if you are a lender and you're watching this and you want to learn more about this, I'm more than happy to share what I do. I know we all have our different systems that we work with, but I can share you the more specifics. Please DM me, and I'm more than happy to share my secrets, I guess, quote unquote. So now let's just, there's I believe in a blue ocean philosophy where there's enough of the pie to go around, and we build each other up by supporting our community rather than competing or knocking each other down. So even if you're a lender or an agent or whoever it is, we've never worked together or we won't work together, that's okay. I'm here to help.
Yeah, and one thing, so the pro was obviously we're going to get down the buyer's rates, and hopefully their closing costs covered or a portion of it.
Yep.
One thing we didn't say is also on the realtor side, your offer is going to look a lot stronger up front, because we're able to say we're going to offer more than list price, maybe significantly 15, 20,000 more than list price. And so if you're competing against 2-3 offers that are maybe around list price, maybe right under, coming over 10 over is pretty strong. And so right away, you're getting that seller's attention and that agent's attention. But you can't just submit the offer blindly and say, like, I hope you understand. There's a lot of communication that has to go on before you write the offer, during sending out the offer, and right after. And so that's one thing I think you and I do really well together is just the text messages. You do a great job of explaining a video and what that looks like for the seller. And so not only is it a customized video for the buyer, you do a separate one just for the seller. So almost over communicating through this process. So there's no confusion at all, and they totally understand.
Yeah, I really believe that it's a collaborative process. I mean, it's not us buyers or us representing the buyers on one side versus the seller and the listing agent. No, we're all in this together as a team. So, I really believe in that collaboration aspect of, okay, let's get everyone on the same page so that we fully understand what's going to go down.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, Marina. So yeah, just to give a couple of examples of what's happened lately. So Marina and we had a couple of seller buy down deals that went through escrow, closed beautifully, very quickly as well. Who shall we talk about? Should we talk about?
Let's talk about me.
Okay, awesome. So remind me if the numbers are slightly off, or if I'm trying to remember correctly. I just have been, numbers start to blur a little bit after a while if I'm not in the file.
MLS too. Let me make sure.
Okay.
It was listed at 4.
Yeah. So background of our buyer. So she is an officer in the Army. and she was coming over to Hawaii, called Permanent Change of Station, or PCS. And so she kind of started looking about 2 months before she was going to be here. And she started working with Marina. And then from the very beginning, I got involved with not only the pre-approval, but also on educating her and helping her understand the different ways that we can structure the financing. That's when we talked about the seller buy down. So what was it? It was, we found a place, or she found a place.
And she's a first time buyer too. So there was a lot of education that went on. Our initial offer was $465. So we were going, I think, 15,000 over list price, which was strong, you know. And then I just want to scroll down to section Q. I'm looking at the contract right now. So we were going to escalate up to 475, and then through negotiation ended up going, I want to say, was it 515? Do you remember?
I think I want to say it was at 525.
Okay.
With
it's like pretty significant, because there was a couple of offers that we were competing against that were around that 500 range.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, and I may be wrong, I think it was 525 with a $20,000 seller buy down.
Yeah.
So this particular buyer, she was VA, but she did decide to do a 10% down payment, just because her stock portfolio was hemorrhaging with the markets being down. And she decided that real estate was a better place to put her money in, especially here in Hawaii, because we're in an appreciation market. So she decided to put 10% down. And so the offer that we constructed was that we're going to offer, so the counter from them, I think, was 505, but we said, okay, we'll do even better. And we'll do 525. So over asking 20,000, but we did ask for that $20,000 back at closing in order to accomplish the two things that we mentioned earlier, which is discount points and then also closing costs. So at the end of the day, I think, you know, if we had just taken that 505 offer, counter, and just executed on that, I think she would have paid, I think maybe like $200 or $250 more a month than the 525 $20,000 seller buy down offer, because the interest rate was lower on that one. Now, it did take a couple of conversations, you know, to help her understand what we were trying to do, because it is counterintuitive. Why am I offering more but getting a lower monthly payment? And so we had to kind of slow things down and explain that to her. But when she got it, it was like a light switch that clicked. And we were like, okay, let's move full force on this. So that was a good thing. Now, another caveat is that, you know, when you do offer over asking on a seller buy down offer, the numbers is that, so 505, we'll just take this example. 505 was the counter at a standard offer. We did 525, but asked for $20,000 back. So the seller netted the same amount, 505, either way. Okay. For us as the buyer standpoint, and I'm sure the listing agent as well, is that now the place we have to cross our fingers is the appraisal.
Sure.
You know, is it going to appraise at 525, since we're kind of inflating the purchase price? That is always a concern. And, you know, you always have to put in an appraisal contingency, and, you know, backup plan with your team, you know, the buying side, and communicate that to the listing agent, which is what we did. We had if appraisal comes in low, plan B, here's what the numbers would look like. And I presented that to him. So he knew that, hey, okay, here's a creative solution. If in case appraisal comes low, here's another creative solution to that problem. And so I think we were able to present a very strong offer in that way, to get, you know, the deal. And I believe we did beat out a couple of other offers as well, right?
Yeah. And then just a note on that. So this was listed at like 450-ish, and we ended up going up to 525, right? So the appraiser's coming in, and a lot of people, there's like this rumor out there that appraisals always come in low. Well, that's not the case. This one came in at value, so almost 75,000 over list price. And that's just to say, like, the condition was great. The agent did a great job pricing it competitively to drive that offer up. But it's not always the case. So we have to have backup options. We just talked about.
But I think if there's if it's, maybe this is another video, like 5 mythbusters, but one of the mythbusters is VA appraisals do not always come in low. Like there's a bad reputation that VA appraisals always come in low, but that is not the case. And knock on wood, I have had not one single VA appraisal in my career that has come in low.
Wow.
It has either come in at value or over.
Maybe you're the lucky charm.
Maybe, yes. The next thing that we have to also take into consideration is we talked about appraisal. Shoot, I lost my train of thought.
I don't know if there really is other negatives. I think it just comes to over communicating and just making sure that
Yeah.
all are confident. So there's not like anything that could pop up that's going to throw everything under the water. And that's a testament to you to doing the work beforehand. You did get her pre-underwritten, so we were able to close in 21 days, which not a lot of people know that you can do as well. And then if anything should happen where we're not meeting timelines, like the termite guy can't come in time or whatever, then we have that the right to extend, which we had that in there just in case. But it was amazing, super fast. Yeah,
super fast. I think we closed within like in 20 days or 18 days or something like that.
Right. I think it was a little early before 21 days. Yeah.
It was like
hotel. She was ready to go. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great strategy, guys. It's gonna help you accomplish a couple things. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say, but let me finish this thought first. It's gonna help you accomplish a couple things, and it depends on how you look on it. Number one, it's gonna help you and your clients win the offer or put you in the best position to be a winning offer. Number two, as a buyer's agent or a lender, if you have a client that was pre-approved at X amount, by using a seller buy down strategy and identifying properties that would be appropriate to do a seller buy down strategy, you are going to be able to boost their pre-approval amount just by a lot more, actually, but however much more you might need, just because you can lower that rate. So that's for the buying side. For the listing agents, because I know agents can go from buyer's agent to being a listing agent, and that's where I really want listing agents to see this video, is that probably the most awkward conversation that you're going to have with your client is discussing, after 30 days being on market, not a lot of activity, is going to be discussing price reduction or the potential of it.
Totally.
Right. So before you have that conversation, if I'm not involved in the deal, that's fine. Like it's not about me, but please reach out. Let's have a conversation. And then I can show you a different way from the buyer's perspective on how you could preserve the seller's net sheet, your client's net sheet, and keep them happy, but also get the buyer to be more excited and happy and, with their monthly payment as well, because this works for the listing agent. If you have lowball offers, the seller buy down strategy and presenting them and having a lender, just step in to help them, guide them through the process to get a seller buy down strategy down. That's going to help you with countering lowball offers as well.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's how you're going to get more listings sold, and as a listing agent. And also, for me personally, how I like to work is communication is paramount, and not just any communication, but speedy communication, speed to acknowledge, speed to respond. Another thing that's really important for me is execution. So, you got to know your SHIT, and, that goes for, you, Marina, as a buyer's agent, which, you're an expert, when you list your stuff, you're an expert, so that's where I think the trust is. And then, at the end of the day, last thing is you just got to execute and just be quick about it. So, those are the things that I think this strategy will help not only buyers in this market, but also the sellers as well. So it's not just a buyer's financing thing, but it's a whole real estate thing. Last two things that I want to just share, because I know our time is coming up, or is it kind of unlimited?
And it's, I think, I don't know.
Yeah. So two things, and this is maybe kind of like, after the ending credits roll, and how Marvel movies have that like last scene, that's like, you got to wait for it. So this is specifically for agents. Okay. So number one, you get paid on the purchase price, on the contract price. Okay, so the more that you can keep the integrity and without reducing the purchase price, that's the commission you're going to get, or you're going to get commission based off of that. It might be a couple $100 more, it might be a couple $1,000 more. It just depends on the purchase price or the contract price, but just know that that is a benefit to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, then this is more for a long-term benefit, and a secondary benefit is that once we start seeing price reductions everywhere, lowball offers being accepted, and home prices being recorded lower than what it should be, that's going to lower the overall comps in this market.
Sure.
And pricing is dictated by comps. So so is appraisal values too. So then if we continue to allow price reductions and lowball offers to happen, then what's going to happen in the next 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years is that it's gonna, you're gonna get lower appraised values because they're using comps. And then when you're about to list, you're gonna not be able to list as high as you want, or without being overpriced. So it protects our comps and the integrity of the comps in our market, and that's gonna benefit you not only for this transaction that you might have, but for future transactions, 6 months, even 5 years down the road, because it's all gonna ripple effect.
Sure. That's a good note for sure. Yep. I think it's all taking little nuggets, and then just a reminder to you should be best friends with your lenders. And if you're not having weekly or even daily conversations, there's so much changing every week that you kind of need to know, like a check-in, hey, what's going on with the market this week? What should you do? And your lender doesn't just work with one agent, they work with multiple. And so they can give you some hints and some tips of what's working with their other agents too. But no, super good advice. Thank you so much. So call to action is if you guys want to know and you want the breakdown, you want to see the number overview. Brian's great at that. He does good videos. Definitely DM him to link up. And then same thing with me. If you guys want to start the process, you want a general overview, you want to be set up on a home search, that's what we're here for. And we'll get you into the right place. So that's the best part. With that, let's wrap it up. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, it's at Mortgage Millennial _. Thanks guys for watching this, and happy Aloha Friday.
Woohoo. Okay, I'll see you later. Bye.
See you later. Bye.